This is going to be a very short, simple message to Isle of Man residents. That's what it's for. I understand now that there's going to be a series of consultations around the island about the Erastane wind farm that is being proposed. But those consultations are being announced when they say they don't know how many turbines there's going to be, how many masts there's going to be and with the turbines on, and what size they're going to be and how high they're going to be. The height does vary quite a lot, the load factor. You can add about 5% to the efficiency by making them higher, but you've got problems then of bringing them onto the island because they're so enormous then. So I would argue this. You can't have consultations where you don't know the basic facts. If they're proposing something, it should be able to tell you what exactly is being proposed, because then you can talk about it. I could advise you, for example, and say, well, no, you're not going to get that yield. And don't forget, the plans so far show complete ignorance of all the laws of physics and of the technology. They really show like children as regards that, because you're claiming that you're going to get efficiency factors called a load factor out of your wind farm higher than anyone else in the world has ever achieved, higher than the much higher normally offshore wind farms get that you can see from the Isle of Man, much higher, almost double that. These figures are pie in the sky. They are not possible. But you should, before the consultations are even allowed to take place, you should ask them to define exactly what they're proposing. Yeah. Now, yeah, it can be subject to change in that, but they should be able to say, well, we're proposing so many turbines, such and such a height, and this is what we're going to get out of them. What they are claiming is up to a quarter of the island's electricity. That is nonsense. On the 20 megawatts with wind turbines, you're going to get about an average 5 megawatts. Well, that's going to put a big cost onto your gas station, because when the wind drops and when the wind's high, it can go higher. It can go as high as 20 even. And when it's up at 20, your gas has got to come down, right? And so whilst you will not be having surplus energy in the sense that you can't use it, because it's below your demand, as it were, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have much more expensive electricity. And the Isle of Manx Utilities have admitted in a Freedom of Information request that green energy costs more than the normal energy. So don't let them tell you it's to make the energy cheaper. You only have to look at the UK, who's just become, I think, top of the league at the moment. They vary, their countries, but they've just become top of the league for the most expensive electricity in the world. So really, why allow these consultations to even take place unless they can define what they're proposing to you? And they can't. And how can they give you a calculation about how much energy you're going to get out unless they know what they're proposing to you? Right? So I think the whole consultation is a con. They're hoping to blind you, and sort of come up at the end with, oh yeah, we'll do this anyway. It's not a consultation, because you can only consult when you know exactly what you're going to be getting, and you don't. So please try to, as residents, insist before the consultations, they tell you what turbines they're proposing, how many of them, what size they are, and give you the yield calculations, the initial ones will do, from those turbines. Because unless they can do that, plus the effect and cost, the extra cost of the gas. The gas is because as the wind drops, say, to zero, and as the wind varies all the time, they've got to use your gas station to fill in the gaps, right? There isn't any storage. Forget the nonsense about pump storage and things like this. And batteries, forget it. I mean, I've already calculated that to back up your power supply with batteries will cost you about 3.7 billion or so pounds to do that. So don't even get into that. Just insist on the clean, simple, tell us exactly what you're proposing, and then consult us, right? Don't allow it to happen. Please stop these consultations without them defining exactly what they're proposing. I think they're scared to do that, because the moment they do that, you can pull the figures apart, because it's all smoke and mirrors, this. I have never seen, and I've dealt with lots of people, I have never seen such ignorance from experts or claimed experts on your island. Never, right? I have never seen it anywhere to that level of ignorance. And except possibly for Ed Miliband, our energy minister, he's up there with them. So that's where we are. And I just thought I'd make this very short video to make that point. By all means, comment below, ask me questions below, But stop these consultations unless they define what they're going to be talking about properly, not vague, properly. And they can't be saying any benefit. By the way, the budget that's being proposed is between 140 million and 200 million pounds. That is coming from a Freedom of Information request. But when you ask how much the interconnector cost budget price, they can't tell you. Well, they must be able to tell you. How could they arrive at a global budget figure without knowing the components, how it's made up? And it's this sort of smoke and mirrors that's so annoying. Anyway, that's the end of my little chat to you Isle of Man residents. And I just welcome the comments below. Please ask questions and please don't allow them to bamboozle you with fake consultations. Thank you for watching.